Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and let's start off with some narrative carrying on Squawk Box about Bitcoin.
Can you explain, and we were debating it last couple of days about Bitcoin, Joe and Becky back in New York.
Yeah,
we've all
I've heard.
been together. You've seen it. What do you think is happening? I mean, we saw Bitcoin get up to $70-something thousand, drop down to $66,000. I was making the argument that it has been very tied to the NASDAQ, it's been very tied to the markets, and as a result, it is more likely a function of liquidity and sort of speculation than it is a function of what the Federal Reserve is going to do. Even though the Federal Reserve has sort of been moving the markets, what's your analysis of why it's moved the way it has?
Okay, up dramatically.
Right.
You have the ETFs. There's something else going on around the world. There are currency devaluations taking place that people are not talking about. The Nigerian naira is down 50-60% in the last 9 months. Egypt just devalued by 40%. Argentina continuing to devalue. I think this is a flight to safety, believe it or not, taking place. A hedge against devaluation, a hedge against a loss of purchasing power and wealth. That's very important. And we saw this even here last year in the United States. Regional banks imploded.
Right.
Bitcoin went up 40%. Bitcoin does not have counterparty risk. I think, and we're putting out a piece in the next few weeks, which is, this is both, get this, a risk on asset. And so you talk about the NASDAQ.
The risk on.
But it is risk off. I remember we got in at $250 when Greece was threatening to leave the euro, right?
But is that folks that are speculating about currency, or is that folks in Nigeria and in Greece and other places saying, I got to get my money out of this currency and move it themselves? Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh, yes. I think this is an insurance policy against rogue regimes or against just horrible fiscal and monetary policies.
Okay, so there's your Bitcoin narrative for the morning. Listen to what this guy says.
They know if they go to a pure electronic system, it will crash. It'll go like that because there's no backing. So they're going to back it initially at 40% gold. But in that paper, they're going to transition out of gold. Gold's a transition. They're going to keep the gold on the central bank balance sheets as a high quality asset to say, we're strong. But they're going to take that 40% gold allocation and they're eventually going to move it out of the system and go to a pure electronic fiat currency. Every single country on earth, if you want to trade, has to have one of these. And so the gold is a temporary measure that they want to get out of. They want to get rid of gold. They want to get rid of cash. They want to get rid of bonds. And that's the system, but it has to occur in 2 stages. I'm anticipating it will take until about 2050, based upon the papers I've read, for gold to eventually be completely taken out of the monetary system and used as a measure of the financial worth of each country's relative banking system. But you will not be able to have redemption rights for the currency. They don't want you to have the gold. They want the gold. It's the kingmakers. The kingmakers want the gold because who has the gold makes the rules.
The kingmakers, huh?
And they know this. So stage 1 is to get everybody on the digital currency.
Let me correct him. Stage 1 is to pump Bitcoin, get the herds to go towards Bitcoin while the central banks accumulate gold. Stage 2 is going to be to get the currency.
They know it takes about a generation to do it. How long has Bitcoin been out? About 15 years. 4 or 5 more years, this worldwide electronic currency will be the currency of the day. That's also in the...
Remember, Bitcoin cannot be used in that fashion. It's too slow. You can sit. You think they're going to sit? Oh, yeah. We'll just wait on all these confirmations. We'll do it that way.
Paper, by the way. The funny thing is when you go read these white papers, they tell you what they're going to do. In 2015, they said, we're getting rid of cash, we're getting rid of bonds, and it's going to take us 20 years to convince people. But thanks to Bitcoin, we're sort of on the way, so we can accelerate that timeline. And eventually, we're going to get rid of gold out of the system, and everybody's going to be trading on this. And we're going to have 2 systems, one for retail, one for international. That way, they can never have an international currency blow up, because that wholesale trade from country to country is going to be monitored at a certain level. And then internally, each country could blow up their internal currency, their retail version of this, and it's not going to affect their market. Like if China's internal currency blows up, they just issue a new one, and it doesn't affect their trade with Russia or the United States because it's a different currency.
There you go. I just bought the XRP dip this morning, and I used Kip Dynamite from one of the most hilarious movies ever, Napoleon Dynamite, to illustrate me buying the dip. Now, this is interesting, folks. Stephen Narioff put this out. The wait is over. Turns out today, Stephen Narioff is taking Ethgate and his story next level, exposing corruption. He has brought in O'Keefe Media. That is James O'Keefe. For those of you who aren't familiar, but I think you all are, here's James O'Keefe actually announcing it. Now, there's a discrepancy on the time. Here, it says 5 p.m. Eastern Time, but in the actual announcement of the X Spaces, it says 4 o'clock p.m. So I'm going to be there at 4 o'clock p.m. just to be safe. On the inside, crypto, ETH corruption. And I even sent out a don't forget to set your reminder to Vitalik Buterin, Joseph Lubin, Matt Korova, consensus attorney, Andrew Keys, who Gasparino must have met with, the Ethereum Foundation, consensus, all our friends over at Squawk Box that have never reported Ethgate, Tucker Carlson, Patrick Bet David, Laura Shin, CoinDesk, Bankless, and Charles Hoskinson, who called us a bunch of grand conspiracists. We're going to find out. Now it goes mainstream, folks. This is huge. This is too. When you see ProShares launching a 2x Ultra Bitcoin ETF, the first word that should pop in your head is, manipulation. This is how Wall Street is going to control this thing. When they start doing these leveraged ETFs, watch out, folks. This is how these guys play the game. This is how they've been able to manipulate gold and silver for all these years. These ETFs, this is how they do it. So just get ready. They're going to turn the grand vision of Bitcoin into a joke, is what they're going to do. This is all for control. Check this out. So not only is James O'Keefe stepping into Ethgate, but this Friday, the Fruition production guys that are doing XRP Unleashed, they're dropping their next trailer. Excited to share our progress and showcase the broader story of XRP. Thanks to all we've interviewed so far. Let me tell you what, the whispers I'm hearing is that this trailer is going to blow your minds. Now, I can tell you for 100% sure, when you see some of the parts that I did, your mind will be blown. I can guarantee you that. I'm kind of braced for impact on that myself, to be honest. You're going to want to see that trailer, though. John Deaton is pointing out, he's wanting to know, Elizabeth Warren, all she ever talks about is billionaire tax cheats and all this stuff. But for some reason, she's never been interested in really getting into Sam Bankman-Fried and his parents. John Deaton says here, Elizabeth Warren claims crypto is primarily used by terrorists and criminals. Yet when Gary Gensler testified before the Senate Banking Committee, which oversees the SEC, she did not ask Gensler a single question about his private meetings with Sam Bankman-Fried, nor has she called for an investigation. Considering her aggressive stance on crypto, why not? Also, what about Sam Bankman-Fried's parents? They received $10 million in FTX customer money and also had luxury real estate in their names, but have yet to face charges. Is it because his parents have friends in D.C., like Senator Warren? His mother, Barbara Fried, runs a Democrat super PAC called Mind the Gap. When Senator Warren ran for president, SBF's father, Joe Bankman, helped formulate Senator Warren's tax plan. Joe Bankman happens to also be an expert in creating shell companies for the purposes of tax avoidance. Look at the shell corporations he helped design for his son. I thought Elizabeth Warren stood up against people who avoided paying their fair share of taxes. And if you look at this chart, and I've done it in my group before, I went and looked up some of the names of the companies that are formed here, and many of the names of the companies are streets at Berkeley in California, where Joe Bankman went to undergrad. So, and people, I know from experience, people name companies after what they're familiar with. And Sam Bankman-Fried did not go to Berkeley. Okay, Elizabeth Warren has minions everywhere. I'll just let you hear the very beginning of this, and I'll make the point.
You've referred to crypto as a lawless
This man's
industry.
name is
And I'm
Dennis
just wondering,
Kelleher.
in your opinion, is there any good use for crypto out there right now?
Well, you don't have to have my opinion. I mean, it's objectively true. They've had 14 years to come up with a legitimate, socially useful use for crypto, and they have not. Crypto is only useful for wild speculation, gambling, and it's the preferred financial product of criminals worldwide, from money laundering, tax evasion, ransomware.
So that sounded very familiar to the way Senator Warren talks. So I just went and typed in his name and Senator Warren, and what pops up? Here's an op-ed in The Hill from back in 2019. Wall Street should support an Elizabeth Warren for president, and it just happens to be written by Dennis Kelleher. And that's as far as I even look. This guy's probably all over the place when you start looking for him and Elizabeth Warren. Now, check this out. This is Caitlin Long, and it was a clip from this guy right here. Cypress Demanancourt put a couple of video clips out. You got to see them both, because Caitlin Long's talking about multiple insiders she's talked to. Watch this.
After the Fed denied us and told us everything that happened, and it was just very clear that what was happening to us was political. It was not on the merits. The impact is, one of the other insiders subsequent to that, as I've been talking about this on podcasts, more insiders have come forward. And one of them, I asked the question, essentially the same question you just did. And I said, well, what is driving Elizabeth Warren to do what she's doing? And because he pointed out that she's basically in control of all the financial services appointees in the Biden administration. I can't prove this, but multiple people have now talked about it, including Novogratz, who's a big Democrat and has tried to meet with her, but apparently she won't meet with him. It's now it's not even a secret. It was an open secret for a while. It's not even a secret anymore. There was a deal apparently cut between Biden and Warren that she got to put her people in those positions. And as you know, she's very anti-crypto. And what was driving it? And the answer, the same question you asked me, was this person who's a moderate Democrat. He said they're all Leninists. They want a central bank digital currency. They don't believe in private industry, and they certainly don't believe in having any private banking.
But I remember when I first got into Bitcoin, seeing videos of...
She said they're all Leninists. Political ideology developed by Russian Marxist revolutionary Vladimir Lenin that proposes the establishment of a dictatorship of the proletariat led by Revolutionary Vanguard Party as the political prelude to the establishment of communism.
Of Warren campaigning and taking to...
It's amazing we have one commie nutcase like Senator Warren she and her minion Gary Gensler holding this country up while they prop up the Communist Party of China. You think that's a coincidence? No, it is not.
Holding feet to the fire of Wall Street, of the banks. And now she seems to have flipped in the last 2-3 years. And now seems to be in the pockets of Wall Street and the banks. I don't understand it, because Jason Meyer's written a brilliant book about why Democrats should embrace Bitcoin.
There's some really powerful arguments by progressives for why they should embrace Bitcoin. Yes. Absolutely.
So what has changed with her? I don't understand.
Now check this out. Here's a second clip. This clip should terrify all of you. And by the way, there's one man that has already saved crypto to an extent, John Deaton, and he's running against her. He can help save us from this woman and put her out to pasture where she belongs, get her out of our democracy so that she can't impose her communist will. That's John Deaton. Go to johndeatonforsenate.com and donate to him. Stop this woman. Go follow at Deaton for Senate too. This woman has to be stopped, folks.
So I've never met her. She was my law school roommate's favorite professor at Harvard Law School. She is a renowned scholar in bankruptcy law. I don't know what's driving it. And Ryan Selkis asked this of Novogratz, right? He's one of the biggest Democratic donors. and she won't even meet with him. But he said he's on stage when Ryan asked him at Mainnet what's driving this, and Novogratz couldn't answer, but he said, I've talked to all of her staffers and they disagree with her. So she stands alone even within her office in how virulent her views against this industry are. The only thing that makes sense to me, and again, I'm speculating, I can't prove this is just what insiders have come forward to tell me, is that she really wants to tear down to build back better. And that definition is that there will not be any private financial institutions, and we will all be banking at the Fed. And they will be able to turn on and off our access to our money based on what they desire. That's what Operation Choke Point 1.0 is, and Operation Choke Point 2.0 as well, right? It's basically saying certain industries can get access to their money and certain industries cannot. Wait till they do. Certain people can get access to their money and certain people cannot. I have heard of individuals who've had bank accounts closed just for sending a wire to Coinbase and the like. So that happened to you, yeah.
Yep. I know people that happen to as well. Now, Boring Sleuth is on the march, folks. And right here, Boring Sleuth is saying, well, on August 17th, 2015, the Ethereum Foundation sent out a round of ETH payouts to the early contributors. In one particular wallet received 154,178 Ether. The owner of this wallet claims they never received any ETH and builds their brand on this lie. Do you have any guesses, okay, who it could be? And they put the wallet here. And then this person says Hosky, as in Charles Hoskinson. No, I covered off on Hosky already. So he's saying it's not Charles Hoskinson. Well, in DAIXRP.com, I'm going to tell you, I think there's only one or maybe two, and I really think only one, maybe two, who this could be. And I really think it's only one who this could be. I'm going to tell you who I think those two are and why in DAIXRP.com, and we're also going to show you an insane conspiracy. And as you know here, anything they call a conspiracy is eventually proven to be true. That's the world we live in now. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Here we go.